We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to the edition of AFC North Talk. Here we are, last week of the season. A lot of stakes. Thank God.
Thank God it's over, dog. I might cry like Big Ben after he beat the Browns in his last game as a Steeler.
3 years ago today, I cried.
Yeah, I might cry, dog, because thank God, dog, it's fucking done. This has been the worst season in such a long time for this team. Oh, and if the Bengals don't get in because like the Denver Broncos win, oh yeah, real tears, bro. Or like if the Steelers beat them, real tears. I'm a hater. I know.
You want the Ohio pain to be together?
No, because I think the Bengals could actually do something and they got in, and I'm not trying to see that shit happen. Like, no, y'all been as miserable as us all year. Y'all not about to turn it around just because the year changed. Nah, screw that. Y'all about to waste this year for Joe Burrow and be mad about it for 6 months like us. Okay? Like.
Okay. Well, let's start with the first game, Browns-Ravens. Half of the Browns starters are IR, right? I mean, because it's just the one game, it's done for the year. It's so funny. I keep getting notification of all these other players in the NFL. This guy is going to injure reserve. I mean, it's missing the last game of the year. Yes, of course, it's going to injure reserve. Anyway, I said about, let's call it 4 or 5 days ago, and some people got mad at me in the Ravens Twitter, that the Ravens should rest anybody that is sore, nicked. That for me, this game mattered less. Even if the Steelers take the number 3 overall seed, that going healthy into the playoffs was the most important thing. Got some flag. To be honest, I don't think, in no disrespect to the Browns, because if the Browns would have come all fours with Jameis and you sit some people, I think we can lose we lost to the Browns this year already. But as the Browns team that is going to look constructed there, and I didn't know this when I put this out there, yeah, you should. I'm not saying sit everybody, but sit the people that are kind of injured. In my opinion, if you're questionable today, you should not play, right? If you're probable, play. If you're questionable because you have some sort of hurting something, you should not play in this game, because the following week, way more important. Whoever it is, your opponent, I don't even care. Whoever it is, even if you go 5th or if you stay.
Did he just freeze for you guys?
I think it just broke for him. Yeah.
It does look like it. Well, here, hold on. All right, well, let's pick this up then real quick. All right, so 24 and a half. Oh, wait, we got Sonny back. All right, yeah, we lost you for a quick second.
Yeah, no, you can talk, because I think I have Wi-Fi problems.
You were in the middle of something, so go ahead and keep going.
Well, all I was saying is the main thing for the Ravens is to be healthy going to this game. That is it. That is the most important thing. If you go to I was going to say, if you slip to 5th or 6th, it doesn't matter as long as you go into the playoff healthy. The division is nice, yes. Having that first playoff games at home is important. Sure. Is it more important than being healthy going to the playoffs? Nah. Go ahead. You guys are going to say something?
We're going to about to have like half the Browns being like the team from Anderson University at this point, where they're just putting everybody, like Njoku's not playing. I think Jerome Ford.
Or the Browns sending out a team that you would see like in college when you playing in like the Duke Mayo Bowl, where it's like, NIL really ravaged this roster.
It's turning into like the week 1 of like college football, where it's like, all right, here comes Florida State going up against like roast beef A&M, and just like, all right, bro, like why do we even have these games? But I will say this: I was on TV last night in Vegas, and I pounded the table saying, I'm still going to take the Browns plus 20.5 because that's an outrageous spread. Like, come on now, bro. When they were When they went 0-16, you know what the biggest point spread for them was?
Oh, okay. 0-16. They were actually close in like the 0-16 year. So like their point differential was better 0-16 year than like the 1-15 year. So I think they lost like their most was like probably like 17 in a game versus Kansas City.
The biggest spread that they had in terms of like before the game, they were 13.5 point dogs that year. So we're saying, all right, 20.5 in some places. I'll take them to cover that. Mostly because like we can make the jokes about Bailey Zappi, but like I saw what Dorian Thompson-Robinson did last week.
Yeah,
it can't be worse. Can't be worse than that. So it's a divisional opponent. I assume Myles Garrett's still going to be playing. So I think that kind of gives them at least something on defense. So I'll take them to cover at minimum. And hopefully Bailey Zappi. You know what? I'll flash the tattoo. Hopefully Bailey Zappi turns into this fella right here in a Michael Myers and just goes scorched earth on the Baltimore Ravens.
Tattoo for a second. I'm like,
I thought the same way.
Hold on. I mean, I've got my last name tattooed on my arm, so I mean, we can call that a Bailey Zappi tattoo if you really want to. So I'll take the Browns to cover, and I'll be incredibly hopeful that Bailey Zappi turns into just the Grim Reaper and has a career game, and that it buys him a contract next year as somebody's backup, and he gets into a game in like week 14 for like the Dolphins. And we'll be like, oh, remember last year when Bailey Zappi threw for 350 against the Ravens? Maybe he'll do it this week. And then he, comes back down to earth.
You are describing my nightmare right now, Jared. Because what if Bailey Zappi does play well? The Browns are like, maybe he can start.
Man.
Or Zappi plays so bad that they're like, well, there's no hope. Let's go. No, wait. If Zappi plays good, I was going to say, maybe that's when the door opens and you get Carter. Because they're like, we don't need a quarterback. We can have Bailey Zappi next year.
Yeah, but you gotta have the right pick to get Abdul Carter, right? Like I feel like the draft gonna come to their senses by the time they get here and talk themselves out of this whole Shador and Cam Ward gonna go 1 and 2 overall in this draft class. And then who you think gonna go 3? Like
fair. Anyway, Ace, what is your thought of this game?
I mean, the Browns are tanking right now, dog. Like, they're not trying to win this game. I was surprised by Bailey Zappi being announced as a starter because I would have just thought it would have been another DTR.
Is this more shameless, Ace, than White Vic? Like the stuff they did to get Burrow at the end of that whole run.
I'm gonna be honest. Them winning that game didn't. Well, I think that, if I'm not mistaken, happened the year that Burrow was already here.
That was the Chase year, right? What did y'all?
That was the year that Burrow I think went down. So Burrow was already on the team, but we did do the Ryan Finley play the year prior to that. The 2019 season. We definitely played him. I got upset though because we benched Andy. He got mad. He asked for like a trade and stuff. We put Ryan Finley in there because they were like, oh, we need to see what Ryan Finley could do. They knew Ryan Finley was
the national anthem of tanking. We need to see what we have in this.
We need to see what we have.
Right?
And then, like, they did the whole thing where it's like, oh, Andy, you're the starter again. And that almost cost us Joe Burrow. A lot of people forget about the Joe Burrow Bowl between the Dolphins and the Bengals. And it started off as a game where the Dolphins were blowing us out. And then Andy Dalton literally brought us back to force overtime in that game. So I get it. I think when you're at this point as a Cleveland fan, there's no shame in tanking because now you find yourself possibly with the number 1 overall pick, especially after the Giants kind of messed it up. The Raiders have messed it up. And I think right now, even if you just get that pick, that's more valuable than winning this game. Like winning this game, and I told Bengals fans that like that season, I'm like, I don't care. Andy Dalton is not the guy. We need to tank. And a lot of people were like, oh, you, like me and Zim said that. And they were like, you guys aren't real Bengals fans and all of this and that. But at the end of the day, that's what's better for the team is sometimes you got to tank in this situation. And that's what Cleveland's doing. You don't want to mess yourself out of a top 5 pick because we all know if you get one of those top 5 guys, it's a big difference between a top 5 pick and a top 10 pick. Usually there's going to be more hits there. You're going to be able to do more in terms of moving around. You're going to be able to command more. So that's what they're doing. I mean, I'm not mad at them for doing that. For the Ravens, I wonder how often do you play your starters in this game? If this game is something where you get up 21-0, I think you pull the starters. I don't think you try to subject Lamar or any of these guys to an injury going into the playoffs. So I think for them, they just do that. And then who is the Ravens' backup quarterback?
Josh Johnson.
Josh
How is that both? He's been in the league since like 2008, and he's played like 4 games.
My man was in the first iteration of the XFL. He was like a 13-year vet at that point. So,
this is where you need Snoop Huntley, and you're like, Snoop Huntley, go out there and do your thing, get the win.
Yeah, they took Snoop out of our practice squad in Miami.
But with the Browns taking all of their guys out and putting them on IR, you should have no problems winning this game. This is gonna be an ugly one. Like nobody's gonna want to watch this one. It's gonna be like, all right, is the NBA on? Let's turn to that because this game is pretty much over.
Look, all I'm looking at was avoid the Lamar Jackson highlight, right? Like just avoid getting Myles Garrett. Let him get the 10. Right, like don't square him up and try to prove a point and tackle Lamar. Like don't get the Lamar spin moved on you because like the Bengals, they let him get that spin move on him that one time. They don't ever stop playing that shit.
If Myles Garrett just like has a day and makes Lamar look bad, I'll put this right here. I'll give him my PFWA vote for Defensive Player of the Year on my ballot. That's how badly
he might just get like 3 sacks in this game because like Myles is literally the only one playing for something in this game for the Cleveland.
Yeah,
like he might go off and like I would take a low loss. Like if we lost 12-3, like Dustin Hopkins misses a couple field goal kicks. Oh man, I'm so mad. Like,
gee willikers.
Damn.
I'm looking at the list of like pending free agent quarterbacks, just as like an idea of who they could bring in. Zach Wilson, Jacoby Brissett again, maybe Taylor Heineke, Drew Lock. I mean, there's not a lot of promising names. I mean, Justin Fields would probably be the most like eye-popping one, but again, I'm not giving up the hope that he comes back to Pittsburgh.
I do have a question. Somebody mentioned JJ McCarthy as a possibility for the Browns. Would you be upset if the Browns flip first-round picks with the Vikings for JJ McCarthy? So you still have a first-round pick, but you get JJ McCarthy.
I'm flipping all the way back into the 20s. I'm just picking up JJ McCarthy. Look, here's the catch-22 with JJ McCarthy. If he is available for a reasonable price, that's a red flag. Because they just drafted this dude in the top 10 and you're telling me, they think this quarterback is still really good. He's super young. They don't even have Sam Darnold locked up under contract. What if they do? It's a 2-3 year deal, right? And you're willing to sell this guy who's 21, will be 24 by the end of that contract for like a swap of the first round when you don't even need the cap relief? That to me would be like, I don't know, man. It feels like you're trying to sell me a lemon. And then if he's available for the appropriate price, hell no, I don't want to pay that for JJ McCarthy. I wasn't even like high on drafting the dude. So yeah, it's the ultimate catch-22. There's no price that would make me feel like super comfortable unless they gave him away for a flyer. And I'm like, okay, well, something's got to be fucking wrong. Like he might not ever play. Like if they're just like, yeah, let's take a third off of us.
You could bring in Jimmy Garoppolo on a 1-year deal.
I mean,
the name I've heard. This would surprise me, but it might not be that bad of a name. Kyle Trask.
Oh, Lord.
Kyle Trask. It's going to be Kirk Cousins, y'all. It's going to be Kirk Cousins and then maybe Kyle Trask and Malik Willis. Like that's
there's just too much connective tissue, man.
Gets traded to the Browns video.
No, I think the Falcons are just going to
they're going to release him and Kirk's going to come straight to Kevin or retire. Right? Like that's either going to be what happens there. But yeah, I think he's going to try to get his lick back and play in Cleveland, and that's going to be what happens because him and Kevin love each other.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, you might not heard from us in this specific section. Our breakdown of this game. There's nothing to break down in this game.
Hey, guys! If Bailey Zapp could come in there and take care of the intermediate part of the field and get Jerry Jeudy going, the Browns have a chance to cover the spread.
Cover the spread.
Like a Hall of Fame. This is an end of the season Hall of Fame game. Like when the Hall of Fame game kicks off, and it's like we know that this shit is just football. It's just here. Like that's what this is, right?
You know,
now.
it's funny
to see
too,
Lamar potentially do. It's gonna be like who gonna win this one? This is the battle. The real battle in this game is: will Lamar solidify the MVP in this game, or will Myles Garrett get himself into some real? He might fucking win Defensive Player of the Year with 3 wins territory. In this game. That is the intrigue. Who wins this game? Not intriguing at all. It's going to be the Ravens.
The Hall of Fame game thing's funny because, like, I know that we all like make fun of like Thursday Night Football. We're like, oh, thank God it's over. But by June, I'm gonna be like, bro, I would suck somebody's belly button lint out of their bare stomach right now if just to watch like Mac Jones against Bailey Zappi. Like, I want football so bad. Like, God damn.
We gotta curve the line, dog.
Them June days be bad. You get a little desperate.
Okay. And that note, Nova still here says, remember when Ace and Q said Hamilton was not a free safety?
The snap said that too, my brother. The snaps we
wait. But don't make it seem like we said that Kyle Hamilton was bad. He was
literally playing nickel corner, and they literally the defensive coordinator himself came out and said, like, we're switching him back to free safety.
Yeah, don't phrase that like we ever had an opinion on here that Kyle Hamilton was bad. My running opinion has always been that he is the best defensive player on the Baltimore Ravens. And that was not what you were saying, Nova Stone, about that Ravens defense. And every time I watch the Ravens play, I think to myself, what could they do if they had a linebacker like Fred Warner on that roster?
Oh, come on.
Oh,
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, it's scary, right? Whew. They had somebody that was as dominant at that position as him. Man, that'd be a defense right there. But
hey, Sonny, did we get the first super chat, the 188?
No, but the reason I haven't put it in is because he's talking about the game of the Steelers. So I'm gonna cue that in there.
Sounds good.
So Browns really had a franchise QB, yet they are number 40.
We're
Is he talking about Baker?
A franchise guy now. Like, come on, guys.
Is that a Baker thing?
Yeah. I'm assuming.
Look, man.
Baker really had a friend, yet they on the number 40. Oh, that's the number 40th quarterback.
Okay. Since the resurrection.
Yeah, it's just such revisionist history about the whole Baker Mayfield thing. Like, I've seen like the takes where like people are like, "Oh, the Browns are foolish for moving on," and then like those same people in 2022 are like, "Yeah, you absolutely have to." Did you not see how Baker Mayfield played after that season? Like, he got cut from Carolina after he played with the Browns. That's the thing I don't understand. Is like, why are we getting all the flack? Another team cut this mother like in the middle of the season.
And sold the farm for Bryce Young after that.
Yeah. So like, all right. But the whole Baker Mayfield stuff, it is going to be what it is until the Browns win again, because that's how those narratives are going to be. But I'm not about to sit here and act like we think Baker Mayfield would have put you on par or better than where the Baltimore Ravens are at with quarterback or where the Bengals were. The same problem would exist. Could you get past the elite of the AFC with him as your quarterback? That's why they made the move for Watson. It blew up in their face. They deserve ridicule for that. But we're not about to act like, oh, if the Browns had Baker Mayfield, they're favored to win the fucking AFC right now.
I think Baker on the current contract with the Browns, it could work. The problem is, this is revisionist history. Baker's journey had to be the journey he had to take to grow to the player he is now. All right. Baker had maturing to do, growing to do, and he took some punches, some wounds, and that made him grow. When the Bucs got him, remember, they said, "You're not the starter. You're gonna compete." Right? I don't even remember who the quarterback was.
It was Kyle Trask.
Kyle Trask, baby.
Because I went into I went into last year saying like this could be like the worst team in football, and Baker's become like one of my favorite players to watch and good for. Bro's about to throw 40 touchdown passes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But
he's all time fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's just like he's not like.
Yeah, I hear you on the revisionist history thing, because we've seen plenty of quarterbacks that start off shitty and then go somewhere else and thrive. But at the time when they were playing like ass, yeah, exactly. Sam Darnold, like nobody right now is being like, oh man, like come on, man. Like coaching matters for these guys, and when it comes to their talents, like for Sam, it's just a perfect marriage with Kevin O'Connell. For Baker right now, I think he had Dave Canales, now Liam Cohen. It's just finding the right coaches to get the best out of those guys and try to cut down on the wacky shit. But sometimes the wacky shit turns into good stuff, and that's just kind of how they are as quarterbacks. So is what it is.
And like, NFC South, not the AFC North.
That
Sure.
is true.
Yeah.
The 188. Sorry that I left yours from behind, but I wanted to cue you up for the start of the next segment. 188 says Steelers are going in the wrong direction, but I'm calling it, Ace. Those brooms are coming out on Saturday.
Y'all finally getting that payback for all them booty beatdowns y'all been predicted as a fan base. I'm just gonna point that one out here. Y'all went crazy for like 4 weeks on the booty beatdown predictions, and it was going your way. And now you're looking and you're thinking about it like, damn, did I throw too many in there?
I don't know if Burrow is taking the broom, bro. That's all I'll say.
The crazy thing here,
I mean, I'm not picking them to take the broom.
The Bengals are favorite on the road in Pittsburgh. Ace, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think the Bengals need to do in this game to beat the Steelers?
I mean, the first thing I'll say is we kind of talked about like what's the significance of the first game. I think we know who's winning that game, but it also helps kind of determine what's going to happen with the second game, because if the Ravens are the AFC North champions, there's really not really much motivation, I think, for the Steelers.
There is, because if the Steelers lose, they will go against the Ravens. If they win, they go against Houston.
I got to tell you, I think they'll be fine.
I think the Ravens want the Steelers, though. Like,
no, not for the Ravens. I'm talking the Steelers.
I think the Steelers want the Ravens.
I think the Steelers want the Ravens.
They would be perfectly fine with that, bro.
Yes, because they have more familiarity with the Ravens. I think, I don't think that they're going to look at that as like, we wouldn't want that. Now, obviously Houston is an easier matchup, but I mean, this is a Steelers team that's been successful against the Ravens. I don't think that they're ducking the Ravens by any means or anything.
And plus, last year, faced the Texans in Houston,
Tomlin maneuvering in a way to avoid the Ravens.
I just don't know. Like I've talked about on this podcast for weeks now how important George Pickens is, and with him having returning from a soft tissue injury, I don't know if you want to put him out in an AFC North matchup like this. But if they do, I think either way that this goes, I think the Bengals are going to continue to do what they do. They're more desperate, I think, now at this moment, because they're not guaranteed a shot at the playoffs at all, right? At the end of the day, the Steelers are still going to get in. Depends on who they are playing, but I think there is going to be a desperate Bengals team that shows up with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, with some other things on the line, right? Like Joe Burrow is going to want to do everything within his power to get to 5,000 yards. That will require him to throw over 300 yards in this one. Jamar Chase is trying to end up being the Triple Crown winner, right? So that's going to require him to get the football. If T. Higgins is trying to get to 1,000 yards, that's something that could happen in this game. And not only does that coincide with their personal success, it also coincides with the team success. Like, they need to win this game to have any shot of being in there. Now, obviously, it comes down to a crapshoot because the Chiefs are basically benching everybody, right? But I think that there is a shot that Aaron Rodgers is going to beat the Dolphins, especially with the Dolphins not having Tua this week. I think that the Jets have a pretty good chance of winning that one. But I think the Bengals just need to come into this game and play aggressive. They are an offensive football team. They're going to need offense in this game. The defense, they're going to need to stop the Steelers, but the stopping of this team for this defense that's bottom three is a 3 and out, an interception, or some kind of turnover force, holding them to 3. I think if they can get a couple of those, that's going to bode well for them. I'm imagining that JPJ is going to play in this game. So if he's going to play in this game, that's going to be somewhat like, even though people talk about his holding penalties and stuff like that, he's still far better than whoever they have that's the backup. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks. People have taken advantage of them with him out of there, especially when you have to go against Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and some of these guys. But I think that the Bengals just continue to do what they've done the last couple of weeks, which is being explosive on offense, putting up those points, and hoping that the defense has some kind of turnover here or there. This defense is pretty much playing like the 2005 Cincinnati Bengals defense, where they just weren't really a good defense on paper. All they did was just force turnovers and give it back to the offense and hope that the offense is able to put this one to bed. I think it's going to be a competitive game because the Steelers are good. I think I'm not expecting the Steelers defense that we've seen the last couple of weeks. I expect them to be pretty good on the pass rush. The Bengals are going to have to protect Joe Burrow. They haven't done a great job of doing that. That's easier said than done. I think protect Joe Burrow at this point is just allow like 3 sacks in this one. Like, I think anything over than that, you can't have a 7-piece like you did last week, because that's just more hits on Joe Burrow. That's more of a chance that the offense is going to falter, and you're not going to be able to stick with the Steelers team if you do that. I think that the Bengals take this one because they just know what is at stake right now for this one. And depending on how things go earlier in the day, it'll be interesting to see what Mike Tomlin does. But I just favor the Bengals in this one just because the Steelers right now are not playing their best football. But I don't think that they're as desperate as the Bengals when it comes to this one.
Garrett.
Yeah, so Joey Porter is playing. Dante Jackson's questionable. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that they give a helmet to Corey Trice rather than James Pierre, because Corey Trice has actually been good when he's been on the field this year. James Pierre isn't. I don't know what the upset. There's always like a handful of guys, and we do this every year, where all the fans and everybody's like, yeah, this dude should be playing, and Tomlin just doesn't, and it's just infuriating. But I've picked the Steelers to pick them to beat the Ravens. They didn't. Picked them to beat the Chiefs. They didn't. There's no reason why I should pick them to beat the Bengals, so I'm not gonna. 0-3 in the last 3 games. Over the last 4 games, I think they've allowed the 4th most points in the NFL. Defense hasn't been playing well. And right now you're facing a white-hot Bengals team whose offense is playing really well. Obviously, we saw T. Higgins have a game last week against Denver. Jamar Chase obviously going for the Triple Crown, and Joe Burrow is just ungodly right now. So even though it's at home, and the Steelers beat them in a shootout the first time around, they haven't been getting those splash plays that they got in that first matchup with the Bengals, which they really had to rely heavily on to get that win. Defense hasn't been doing that as of late. So nothing that I've seen over the last 3 weeks leads me to believe that they'll win this game. Bengals are playing in pure desperation mode and need to win to even have a shot to get in. So hopefully, Tomlin can pull off some sort of voodoo magic like that spinning helmet I got behind me, and try to, get 11 wins, which would be the most that they've had since 2020 when they went 12-4. So haven't had it. Yeah, shut up, Quincy. So it's been a minute since they've had they had 10 wins last year. And to have all of these changes and have it all talked about throughout the season, saying, all right, you completely revamped the offensive staff, you can, change the quarterback room and everything, and to have it just repeat with the same record would just be incredibly frustrating. Granted, they'd be the 5 or 6 seed rather than the 7 and still have a pretty solid chance of winning a playoff game, but it's just been a frustrating second half of the season. I've talked about this before, where there's now the 4th time in 6 years where they've lost at least 3 straight in December, 5th time in 7 years where they've lost 3 straight after Thanksgiving. So it's just like a pattern at this point where the Steelers collapse down the stretch, and it's so annoying. It's something that you can set your watch to at this point, where they're just going to struggle. And like I said, right now they're not playing the type of football that would make me say that they're going to beat the Bengals. I understand it's a divisional matchup, so in terms of all of that stuff factored in, but Bengals are playing better right now. They're going to be more desperate. The Steelers, like I said, even if the Steelers, I'd almost rather the Steelers play the Ravens, because nothing would make me happier than if they beat the Ravens in the playoffs. I would be soaking in that all week, just waiting for it. Even if they come up short, just that build up and that the week long build up to it, that would be the most fun I've had in a build up and the most excited I've been for a game. I'll be excited for Houston. Don't get me wrong, but the last time they went into Houston was last year, and they lost by 3 scores. I think it was 30-6. Granted, roster's a little bit different, but still, that iteration at the time of the Texans also didn't have Tank Dell didn't have Stephon Diggs. So I think that the familiarity would help them a lot more in a matchup against the Ravens. And that is why I would be more okay with another game against the Ravens. So we'll see.
Saying when I 5 weeks ago said that the matchup is going to be 3-6 Steelers, Ravens. Back then you guys were leading. I said you guys might win the division. We might win the division, but it's going to be 3-6. You're predicting here right now, Bengals are winning, and you're going to be 3-6.
If I had to, I'm going to predict the Bengals to win, and I think the Steelers.
Let me ask you this, Jared.
Yeah.
Does the AFC division winning it matter if the Steelers beat the Ravens in the first round of the playoffs? Does it matter?
No.
Are you going to be able to brag on that? Or I also noticed your helmet collection there. I don't see a particular helmet back there.
I still don't have a Ravens one, man. I still don't. I added 3 more over Christmas. I still don't have a Ravens one. I do have a purple one though. I got a Vikings one now.
No, I'm sorry, no Ravens.
Yeah, I got every other AFC North team in there. But no, if the Steelers don't win the division, but they beat the Ravens in the playoffs, I don't give a shit about division titles. I don't think anybody.
Oh yes, Browns true AFC champions, AFC North champions 2020. You know? Jared Bailey said it here first.
That's a fair claim. They won when it mattered. Yeah, you can take that.
And they lasted longer in the second round than the Ravens did.
Bro, I'm gonna go on a small, an itty bitty rant right now because like Steelers fans talk about like the years that got away and like that year that they lost to Jacksonville in the playoffs as like the biggest one. Bro, 2020. If they beat the Browns. And the Browns came this close to beating the Chiefs. Then you play the Titans in the AFC title. If they beat the Browns, I'm convinced they would have gone to the Super Bowl that year.
Was it the Titans? No,
it was the Bills. It was the Bills. You're right. My apologies. Yeah. It was the Bills. Even then, though, like that was the first year.
The Bills team that was ready for all that.
But yeah, that was like the first year of great Josh Allen. That was the first year that they had Stephon Diggs. So I mean, that's a team that they could have beat. Granted, the Bills beat them earlier in that season in Buffalo, but like that year. People don't talk about that as that was
the year the Chiefs like were beat up on the offensive line and stuff, right? That was
that's the year they played Tampa Bay.
That's the year Pat Mahomes threw that ball sideways.
Yes. So I'm gonna pick the Bengals to win because, like I said, I picked the Steelers the last 2 weeks and they've let me down. And the way that they've played gives me no reason to believe that they're gonna beat Cincinnati. Also, there's like this weird thing going on Steelers Twitter right now where like George Pickens was asked a question and everybody's like freaking out about it. I was like, bro. Relax, calm down. It's
the Russell Wilson one. The Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And by the way, let me shout out Alan Saunders because I love Alan. He's a great dude, and everybody's giving him a lot of shit right now. Everybody's freaking out about nothing. It's just dumb.
I'm thinking for this game. The problem that I'm having is the Steelers defense that shows up is the Steelers defense that has been showing up in the last 4 or 5 games. It's going to be a long game for the Steelers because the Bengals can move the ball. And even at the Bengals defense, one thing we have to say, they're not great, but they have been a little better, just slightly better. Also in the latter part.
I'll make the argument they've actually been like significantly better over the last like month or so.
Yeah, in the last 4 games.
Like the big play stuff hasn't happened as much with them, right? Like that was really what was biting them in the ass early in the season.
Mims had that one big play, but overall I feel like the Bengals defense has gotten better and the Steelers defense
and the run defense has gotten so much better too.
Yes, that is correct. The Steelers defense, which is their strength, not getting better. The Bengals defense, that is their weakness, getting better. Right? That is a recipe that I think you have to lean here. The Bengals. So also forget the Bengals might not make it if Miami, and talk about a horrible 7 seed if Miami wins in the Broncos lose. Oh my God!
You're not trying to watch Bills Dolphins?
We're gonna just watch
so bad.
Gonna watch Josh Allen bend over Snoop Huntley and the Dolphins.
Oh God, yeah, it's not even gonna be time.
It's Snoop. Anyway,
2-time playoff starter, fucking Snoop Huntley. How?
We're respecting his name.
A Pro Bowler in 2 playoff starts potentially.
Yes, sir. But anyway,
how'd that game go, Sonny, when he started?
No, not well for us.
Damn, a Pro Bowler and 2 playoff starts is almost as good as Lamar.
Yeah, he almost scored the game-winning touchdown. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
At least Ace hurt me.
Close.
What happened on that play? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like something happened. It got
that's
like
the reason. That's the reason that the Ace Boy's still there, and they love him over there in the Natty.
So anyway. Ravens 0-1 in the playoffs against AFC North teams. Is that it?
No, since Lamar.
Since Lamar.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the only one that we have played against the North was that Bengals game. We haven't played the Steelers. We haven't played the Browns.
That's crazy, bro. We always used to get the Steelers like wild card. We always used to get the Steelers.
This is the nastiest switch up that the Bills are gonna have to deal with. This is like, hey, bro, depending on how Sunday rolls out. You could play the
yeah.
Dolphins with Snoop Huntley, or
Or
you could play
Joe
fucking
Burrow.
Joe
Have fun.
Burrow. like when he's throwing
Do your
45
thing,
touchdowns.
ratings team. Do your thing. That's all I'm
Like,
saying.
you
NFL
remember
ratings.
when Michigan found out that like Alabama got snubbed, and then like it was the people in the Michigan section that was like, yes, the year they won the college football playoff. That is gonna be the Bengals when they're like, oh, I mean not the Bengals, the Buffalo Bills when they're like, the Bengals have been eliminated for the playoff contention.
Yes.
Thank God.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would line up and pay whatever I got to pay if it's guaranteed to see Josh Allen beat Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes on the way to winning a Super Bowl. That would be that. I've never done cocaine, but I feel like that's what it would feel like.
Buffalo fans, they not trying to. We need to work through the gauntlet and earn our Super Bowl. Nah, man, they Buffalo dog. They gonna take this shit how it has to happen.
Sure.
From Miami. They're hoping
Imagine them going through a shootout, barely beating the Bengals in the first round, and then they're like limping into a game versus the Chiefs, and they're like, "Oh fuck, here it goes again!" Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want that. I don't want that. That doesn't meet my agenda. So can't have that.
dog, they try to play bad Texans in the second round. They try to play. They try to play the Miami Dolphins, and then they'll deal with.
I think what would be like perfect for the Bills in that situation. Like if the Steelers were to win, then I guess it would be more perfect for the Chiefs, because then if you're the Chiefs, like, okay, yeah, we'll play Pittsburgh and Arrowhead. Yeah, sure, why not? We already just beat them by 20. So I'm trying to think of like the craziest scenarios here. Like what the Chargers would be the 5 seed in that situation, so they could possibly play Houston.
the Chargers will play Houston, and if they beat Houston, there's a big possibility that then they go to.
By the way, Houston is definitely this year's Philadelphia team from last year.
Oh yeah, just collapsing.
That's
down
a
the
team
stretch.
that's losing in the first round.
Yeah.
Or the Jaguars
fair.
looked like they were going to win the South last year. We're like, yeah, they're going to fucking lose.
Yeah. But that's my point with the Steelers. Like I actually feel like, obviously I feel like we just beat the Steelers at home. If we play the Steelers at home, we're winning that game. But I actually feel if the Steelers get the 5 seed, I actually think they will beat Houston in that scenario.
I'd love to say that, but CJ, regardless of what people say about CJ Stroud, he's a bad boy, and I think that he would.
Yes,
I guess
it's the
I know. But that's the thing, though. Everybody talks about, myself included, like I've made the point, yeah, the Texans could be a good matchup, but the problem is that the Steelers wouldn't do the one thing that could exploit the Texans offense, which is just send constant fucking pressure at CJ Stroud. They're going to send 4, and the offensive line is going to be like, okay, we can handle this. And then CJ Stroud's going to sit back, and it's going to be like
with those 4. We sent 4, and we were getting to him.
I did the same thing, Jared, when like people are like, "Oh, TJ Watt can get in coverage," and I'm like, every snap that TJ Watt or Myles Garrett is in coverage is a waste of fucking time.
and Grant, there was one game last year where he did that, and he picked off Matthew Stafford against the Rams, and that was like cool. But like, bro, I don't need TJ Watt spying the quarterback in the shallow part of the field trying to make a play. Like, no, send him at the quarterback. There's no reason.
It is the ultimate. You've outthought yourself. It's like, oh, you know, it's really going to take him off guard if I take the best edge rusher I got and not rush him, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to know what to do if we give them less to deal with, you know? Like,
schematically, the Steelers defense just pisses me off, and it doesn't make any sense. And I hope that they change a lot of things this offseason, because they don't blitz a ton, which they don't do a lot to help out TJ Watt too, because I know a lot of people are talking about like his production, especially down the stretch. And a lot of that is because, well, I mean, teams are, chipping him a lot, but also because you're not sending extra people for the offensive line to have to worry about to help free up TJ Watt. And when you only send 4 dudes the majority of the time, or 5 on the occasional time, like, it's going to be a little bit easier to take care of them. So it's annoying. And while I would love to think that Houston would be a good matchup for them just because the offensive line is bad, I feel like the Steelers would just beat themselves and not take advantage of that and not send any sort of pressure and just sit back and let CJ Stroud cook, which regardless of who the receivers are, we saw last year, if Nico Collins is out there, somebody else is going to be open. You can throw it to John Metch. You can throw it to Xavier Hutchinson, whoever the hell else they got out there. So I feel like the Steelers would play into Houston's hand rather than Houston play into Pittsburgh's.
Hugh, what do you think is going to happen? By the way, I picked the Bengals. Bengals by 3.
Everybody's picked the Bengals. which makes me feel like I have to pick the Steelers, right? Because I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to go into this game knowing that you lost 3 games in a row, like going into the playoffs against a team that could make the playoffs and say, hey, let's just take it easy this week and not try to win. But I'll just pick the Steelers, and I have no good reason for doing it. Other than
contrarian.
I don't want the Bengals to get the sweep. You know what I mean? Like I want the Bengals to not be in the playoffs because I know what they're capable of. And like I'm not trying to see them get to the second round and have a fun year, or like God forbid they get to the conference championship and then we get to hear them like get all excited about playing the Chiefs again and how that's the biggest rivalry in the NFL. Nah, man. I'd rather deal with people glazing up the Bills and Chiefs non-rivalry, right? Like I'm in full hater mode. That's just where I'm at. So like, why do I pick the Steelers to win? Because fuck the Bengals. That's why I'm picking the Steelers to win this game.
And Josh,
if this
trust.
Yeah, if this was a flip situation where the Bengals needed to lose to the Steelers or something like that, if the Steelers needed this win, then I would pick the Bengals. But the Steelers gained nothing from winning this game. So, like, the hater in me is going to pick the team that benefits the least to win this game. So that's why, Russ going to cook in this one, 330 for Russ in this one. George Pickens coming back. Yeah, George Pickens coming back. Cam Taylor-Britt can't guard him. It's gonna be one of those games where you feel good about the Steelers, and I want Steelers fans feeling good before they lose in the first round. Like I want them to feel like we have a chance. Right now, they're already doing the sad walk, so I want them to feel like they have a chance, have one of the best records they had since they lost to the Browns from 35 million people according to Nielsen records, and then lose to the Texans, right? Like that's what I want. I want maximum misery,
maximum chaos.
Yeah, I'm just rooting for misery at this point, and that is
Would you root for the Ravens or the Steelers if they played in the playoffs?
I would root for the Ravens to leave that game without Derrick Henry for the rest of the playoffs and then lose the next round.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say Bane, but okay.
Who?
Hey, don't worry. Hey,
Bane, just to blow up the stadium.
There's a stadium that collapse. Both teams lose.
I would root for a team to barely win, and then so it's heartbreaking to the team that loses, and then I would root for a pure ass whipping the next week, like fair just enough. A demoralizing. Like we got to change the core of our roster ass whipping. The next week. Like, I mean,
I'm not mad because that's what I wish through all 3 of you guys. So that I'm not mad.
Like, yeah, the Ravens win it, and like the Chiefs just demoralize them, beat them by like 50, and they're like, oh wow, I guess we can't run it back with Lamar.
That would be porn to me, actually. That would be great.
Yeah. Great. So that's what I'm hoping for, right? If you're wondering, I just want maximum pain in the first, second, and third rounds of these playoffs because I've dealt with enough.
But by the way, maximum, like when I get blown out, like when the Ravens get blown out, I get mad for like the first 5 minutes of this blowout, and then I'm like watching it, and nothing faces me. A heartbreaker.
You're right, Sonny. I want you to consistently be down like 8 points. Like what? Like you're always this close to getting back in it. You get to the 10-yard line, Lamar fumbles. Damn, but y'all get a stop on defense. Game's still close. And then Jim Harbaugh goes for it at the 40, at his own 40, and it drives you crazy because like it was 4th and 5. Why did he just take the points? And yeah, that's what I want. You're right, Sonny. I want you to consistently perpetually be down 8.5 points, like just enough to feel like you're 1 score away.
Yeah. I always tell my wife,
Justin Tucker misses a field goal.
You want the other people to get false hope because that's the worst hope.
Mm-hmm.
False hope. Anyway,
one of those games where if you add up all the kickers' points, that's the difference in the game. You're like, oh damn it! If we would have just made that one hurts.
We had lost 3 like that this year. This is not guaranteed.
Penalty. I want that too. I want the pass interference. No. Right? Like a classic Pat Mahomes, like roughing the passer penalty that takes a 3rd and 25 away from you. Like, oh yeah, I want all the bullshit.
That's how we lost to the Raiders. Anyway, Griffo here says this is not guaranteed win. Browns won in week 8. I think the difference is the Browns are not trying to win now. Yeah. In week 8, the Browns were trying.
Browns thought the season was still alive. in week 8. Like Deshaun had just went out. They would believe it. This is not that.
Jameis with the speech, ready to go.
Oh yeah, we was listening to the Jameis speeches. Jared Bailey was getting excited every time we saw Jameis Winston pray on national TV. It feels like that was 2 years ago.
Well, I cannot wait for the trade that was going to happen this offseason between the Browns and the Steelers, where the Browns
ain't gotta worry about that.
The Browns will get number 2 Fields, and then the Steelers will get great backup quarterback in
Dude, can you aren't you excited for the introductory press conference of Steelers quarterback Jameis Winston backing up Russell Wilson?
Luckily, I don't got to worry about that ever.
It's happening.
It's not. They're gonna bring back Russ. They're gonna bring back Justin Fields. Life's gonna be fine.
Nah.
Actually,
Jameis and Josh
I keep
Dobbs,
seeing all
baby.
these.
Jameis and Josh Dobbs.
I like Josh, but I keep seeing like all this like market value stuff about Russ, and it's like, oh man, his market value is $40 million. Nobody's gonna pay that man $40 million. For one thing, the Broncos are still gonna be paying him $40 million next year, so nobody's gonna be like, yeah, we'll give him an extra 40. Like I think it's gonna be like between like 18 and 23, like kind of that Geno Smith type money.
And he's like 37.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would much rather than bring back Justin Fields. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Fields. And I hope that if that's what it comes down to, that's what they do. Yeah, I'm already stressing about that. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Justin Fields go somewhere else and be good, and they keep Russell Wilson around and it doesn't work out. Granted, if that does happen, then the agenda immediately becomes Drew Aller 2026, and that's what I'll root for. But
we'll beat you in that race.
I know that's the problem. They're not going to be bad enough to win that race, so. It's not great.
We're gonna get Abdul. We're gonna get Drew.
We're gonna get all my favorites. Just
if this
Kobe King
wins the national championship team, we're gonna get Kobe King too.
Wait, okay. you don't think the Penn State quarterback?
K-Tron, he coming. Okay.
You don't think the Penn State quarterback, if he wins next week, he declares to the?
He might. He might
be the best quarterback in this draft.
There's no might about it. He is.
Yeah, if he goes back to back like 300 yards against Georgia and Ohio State, he's gonna walk into
the play Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre Dame. I guess that's the same thing, right? They got Xavier Watts. They're basically Georgia.
I mean, that's still a tough team to beat.
No, it's like every single team in that bracket was just like a version of like Georgia or Penn State, where it's like they're all the same team.
If Penn State plays in the national championship, I'm happy.
Yeah.
If they beat Notre Dame, I'm happy. That's the thing. Like, I want them.
What if they go to the national championship and get ran by Ohio State?
I mean, that'll suck. But if they play Ohio State, I'm not going to go into it expecting them to win. So I'll already be prepared. But just to be in the national title game would be pretty cool. Yeah. Like it. As a Penn State fan, you just kind of get used to it. And you're just like, yeah, they're going to play Ohio State. They're not going to beat them. We'll move on to the next week. That's just how it is. We're going to get down to the one. We're not going to run the ball with Nick Singleton or Katron Allen. We're going to do some whack ass thing with Tyler Warren. Go nowhere. Try to throw it for some goddamn reason.
Ooh, the Bengals get Tyler Warren. That would be fun.
I saw somebody say that in the chat. I think that would be very fun.
Come on, Ace. Do you really want to make the playoffs, or do you want to get Tyler Warren?
Man, I need them playoffs, dog. But either or.
You don't want a 6'6" tight end target? Like,
I need them
playoffs, freak athlete,
bro.
Ace will tell you they don't use the tight end.
12 personnel with Tyler Warren and Gesicki.
That's changed this season, Sonny. Like they've been all about the tight ends this season.
It's a great tight end.
No, here's the funny thing about Penn State. When you like actually evaluate them, you're like, oh my God, this is such a talent. Like, this is the most talented team in college football. But like the brand of James Franklin just makes you go, well, you know, like we'll see what they do.
I'll tip my hat to him. He's won 2 playoff games. That's nice to see. Good for James Franklin. Yeah. He's like, every time I watch a James Franklin interview, it's the same thing. Like, he's not shouting, but he's not just talking. It's like some weird thing in the middle. Yeah, he's an intense coach. That's a good way to put it.
He's a very intense guy, right? It's like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like where he's like, he's always like saying something really tough, but it's like it's never like chill, right?
Yeah,
and him and Ryan Day going at it for the national championship this year, like that's gonna be. I don't know if like the universe will will somebody into because like the other option is Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Or Notre Dame wins the national championship.
I'm good on that.
Yeah, this is gonna be
Oh, Texas.
unprecedented. No matter what happens, like something.
Although the white girls who watch football everywhere like really love Marcus Freeman, so maybe that'll be a good thing for.
I have no choice but to root for my man Marcus Freeman because gotta stand with the other Black and Asians out there.
James Franklin's on that side too. You can root for James Franklin a little bit.
He Asian?
He's black.
Yeah, he's black. I thought that was more of
He's saying half Black and Asian.
Oh no! Like,
I thought it was
team, man. It's different. It's different.
I thought it was black and or Asian, not.
Now, if he was a brother from Cleveland, it'd be different. Like, all right, now I got root for James Franklin, but James Franklin not from Cleveland. He's from Vermont or some shit like that.
Drew Allar's from the Ohio area, so it only makes sense that the Browns would pass over him and go to
right. And he's not from Cleveland. He's from like Medina, which 45 minutes outside.
I mean,
like he's
from how far is Finley from Cleveland?
Very far.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. Another Ohio quarterback going to Pittsburgh. Fine by me. I need them to suck so bad next year, dude. My God, it's not going to happen either. I'm already just pissed off about.
Somebody was in my comment section, Jared, like, "Hey man, we're going to be furious if we let the Steelers get Cam Ward at 20 whatever." I was like, "Please God, do it." I'm begging the Steelers to do it.
Yes, please. Anyway, guys, that's all we have this week. Thank you for coming. We'll be back next week recapping this and seeing the teams that made it. Are the Bengals going to be in or out? Who wants the division? Steelers seeding, 5th, 6th. We'll see all that next week. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
Couch meme. I've been waiting to send the Bengal fan.